for me, again, I've always felt this connection to people through food, and that's how I feel joy. And so, I mean, it's definitely coming from kind of this more personal note of wanting to feel connected with just a huge audience of people through these snacks that we put out there, but also wanting to connect people to each other and help people grow and learn and just, yeah, experience more.
Welcome to another episode of the Say More podcast with Isabel and
Eleanor.
And we're super excited to have another wonderful guest on the show today, Lauryn Bodden. She is the inspiring founder of Snoods, a delicious food brand that is transforming the way we experience noodles. Lauryn was actually on the Netflix show Snack vs. Chef, and she won and spent her entire career working in food and hospitality before launching Snoods, which is totally addictive. And we're excited to dive into that and more and learn more about Lauryn. Lauryn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for being here. Welcome.
This is very exciting. Thank you. This is such a treat.
There's so much passion here for food.
Yeah, I know.
And I can totally relate in so many ways. And also what you're saying about, food is really access to different cultures. It says so much about people to understand what they eat and how they eat. But where does your passion for food come from?
I did grow up in the 90s, so I do think it was a lot of the Food Network buzz. That was, Emerald was really big. Rachel Ray was really big. Is really big. Let's not knock on that. And food has always been really big in my family. My parents were always foodies, always loved going to restaurants, trying new things. They really pushed me to try new things. And food was always really core to a lot of memories, whether it was my dad making me just something small as peanut butter toast in the morning, or my mom making breakfast casserole when we had tests, or my grandmother making Sunday supper. So it didn't really matter how amazing the food was, but it was just very central to connections with people and family, and that joy that I kind of felt in life.
Yeah. What's your heritage culturally? What kind of food is it? Southern food, or is it more worldly?
So my mom's family is German.
Okay.
That's a lot of meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
And love them, but they don't explore much. And I will say that they make everything from scratch, and I love my mom's side of the family, but I think I get more of the let's try new things from my dad's side of the family. His family's from the Caymans, and so we grew up going down there, and I think a lot of people think of the more bougie Caymans, but we went to my grandmother's small house. I only saw a small part of the island most of my life. I opened the fridge at one point and there was turtle soup in there.
Oh, wow.
I did not try it, but just things like that where it was, a lot of new things that I never even saw in the grocery store constantly being put in front of me. My parents also traveled a lot, so I didn't travel much as a kid, but kind of lived through them, seeing everything that they were exploring. So it was just really exciting.
Then you went on from that passion and really started working in the food industry, and it sounds like you've really worked in every aspect, every angle of the food industry and hospitality. And curious to learn a little bit more about that, and also in kind of the realm of, you were talking about sports being being together as a team. Food is so different, right? Because you're really more taking care of people in many ways. Hospitality or cooking a meal for someone is also just, taking care of them, showing your love for them. How does that kind of fit together, and how did you get into professionally making this your career?
I would have started out in kitchens if I could have. My parents were they supported me in everything, but wanted me to go to college, get a degree, kind of have a little bit of something that I could fall back on. And also seeing that, it's a hard life in kitchens, and I always knew that. So I first started out in PR. I love telling stories and really kind of lifting up people and brands and getting into that kind of creative. And I love media and everything. So, but I got to this point where I didn't feel fulfilled. And that's when I went to culinary school. I went into restaurants, and they'll always say you can't just you don't go to culinary school and become a chef. You really have to learn in restaurants. And I mean, you don't have to go to culinary school to be a cook at all.
Right.
So that's where I kind of got the foundation, and it really opened up my eyes to a lot of different things. I don't even really think I ate noodles that much before I started cooking in restaurants. I learned a lot about pasta making. I learned a lot about noodle making and sauces and all these different things and techniques. And so
What kind of restaurants did you work in?
Yeah.
my first restaurant was Hearth in
Okay.
East Village.
Oh my God.
Marco
I used to
Canora.
eat there. Yeah.
And I'm still just so tight with a lot of those cooks that I was with because they were just so passionate. It's a very small kitchen, a lot of just incredibly passionate and creative and talented people that were there. And so I think that was probably the biggest lesson I learned right away.
Like patience.
Is patience, and then also just pride. More I mean, I always had pride, but just, you want to put out something that you stand very strong and confident behind. And that's definitely how I've always felt now, and I very much feel about Snoods. And so now when we're putting out the product and I can see these like little cracks of things that I know aren't perfect or that we want to fix, it kills me inside.
Right, yeah.
So just that sense of pride and dedication to your craft.
I'm curious how you feel. My first job in New York was for a startup that was called Kitchen Surfing. It was this on-demand chef service, and I was on the operations side and made tons of chef friends. The kind of principle of the business was we were hiring these back-of-house chefs that were working really hard and not getting paid very well, and we tried to elevate them and basically sent them to people's homes as private chefs. Great idea. Business was not well executed, but it gave me a lot of insight in the chef industry. And I'm curious how you feel about that. Having worked back of house, it's a really intense environment. Like in general, I also would assume for a woman, it's an intense environment. Like when you reflect back on that time, like what are your insights from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely also very male dominated. And so when I started at Hearth, there was one other woman. And there was 2 to 3 women kind of at all times, so it was always a little bit male dominated. I think in even the best of environments, it can still feel a little bit lonely at times. And in restaurants, I also feel like women are pitted against each other. So
I mean,
it's hard
everywhere.
to feel safe and feel
Right.
like you can grow. And again, this is my experience. I cooked in restaurants for 3 years, got out, and then went back for a little bit. It's a hard environment. It's hard on your mental stability. It's hard on your body.
Yeah.
It's hard, I think, as a woman, also thinking about if you want a family, if you want to do these different things. Obviously, there's women out there doing it, but it's hard, and it's already hard. So you have to make a lot of these big decisions early on in your career, figuring out, where do you want to go next?
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what ultimately drove you to kind of leave the back of house restaurant world?
Yes. I mean, I definitely knew that lifestyle was not long-term for me. I like my weekends. I like going out with friends at times, but also it was incredibly hard on my body. And I went to the doctor so much, and as a restaurant cook, you often don't have insurance or you're not paid a lot. So, I mean, it's the same with being a female athlete. I think you go through so many injuries and you don't always have that support to kind of, I mean, it's not the same, but to relate to that, it's just, at times hard to be a female and feel that support. And I think certain kitchens now have kind of their new age, and that their way of kind of reprimanding is that more, it's more supportive. It's more like, you disappointed me and the rest of your team. It feels more like a team versus there's a lot of old school kitchens that it was that singling out and yelling and making you feel like the worst person in the world.
Wasn't that the like Gordon Ramsay thing where he would like yell at people?
I was most of New York.
Okay.
That was just
But he like made his.
restaurant
I feel
thing.
like he made his like name.
It's so hard too, because obviously I'm not trying to speak poorly of anyone, but it has to be said. I mean, it's hard to not notice, but there's plenty of chefs that are out there that will acknowledge that they were this hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say
Yeah.
ass,
The guy
but
from-
hard ass
You can.
chef.
Yeah,
The
you
guy
can.
from 11 Madison, right? I'm blanking on his name now, but he talks about that, how he used to be
Yeah.
a horrible person.
Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean,
he's
a lot
changed
of,
yeah.
and it's great that it is making a change, and we hope that obviously it continues. And I think restaurant hours aren't necessarily improving,
Yeah.
but pay is
Right.
gradually improving. So and the other side of it too is that we have to raise prices in order to
Support
make
that.
make
Yeah.
all of these ethical practices come to
Totally.
life. And
Totally.
people don't necessarily, they want the ethical part, but they don't want to pay for it.
totally.
And it's the same side with CPG, consumer product goods. And
Same with fashion.
yeah. I mean, it's the way with Amazon and these other companies have kind of, I mean, I shop on Amazon too. I'm not saying they're not.
You
but,
do?
Yeah, but it makes it hard to actually have a business that is doing good or sustainable and making these right ways in the world,
Totally.
because it's such a big price tag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the margins are already so slim. And these are like essential industries. To me, I think back in the pandemic, I mean, obviously nurses and doctors, but all the people that were making our food,
I know.
like both in CPG, like in factories, but also in restaurants, it's like crazy. They went in every day and cared for everybody in society, and they didn't get a raise. It's like it's pretty sad when you think about it.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends that were working during the
Yeah.
pandemic, and just the constant restaurant closures,
Right.
the instability of it all.
Yeah.
It's very scary, and it's hard too when you feel so pulled towards that as you wanting to pursue that passion in life, and it being just such a hard path.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then you left the restaurant industry. You worked in PR a little bit, and then what led you to getting on a TV show?
So when I left restaurants, I actually worked for Gail Simmons. She's
Right.
one of the judges on Top Chef.
Ooh, how was that?
It was wonderful. It felt like a dream come true. I watched Top Chef growing up. I loved Gail. I love her now. She's just as great as she seems on TV and online. I helped her with recipes. I was kind of like her culinary assistant, and that if she had recipes that she needed to prepare for media or different events, but also helping with kind of like the brand side, the social side. So it was fun because I felt like I got to dip my toe in a lot of things, and I already had this interest in food media, and so I got to come with her to a lot of different sets and see different scenarios, and so it showed me a lot of different paths within food. And when it came time for me to kind of put another hat on, I feel like when I did a lot of these career changes, it was because I felt another area that I kind of wanted to grow in. And I guess a little bit was I didn't really feel settled or like I had found my spot. And a lot of times it often felt like it didn't feel great. It felt like you were supposed to have your path and know what you were supposed to do. And I felt restless and like I was kind of failing a little bit. And it's funny because when I found this show, I was a food editor at the time for an online site.
Where were you an editor? On Say More, we've discovered that the best ideas rarely come when you're distracted, uncomfortable, and not fully present in your body. It's nearly impossible to hear that inner voice when you're wrestling with your clothes, especially ones that are made of plastic and that don't breathe. By the way, 60% of today's clothing is made from plastic. That's why I founded the big favorite, super soft, 100% Pima cotton tees, underwear, and other essentials for men and women. They're simple, well-made, and designed for fit and comfort, sure to become a new favorite, so you can focus on the things that matter, like letting a good idea hit. Shop basics and underwear at thebigfavorite.com and use SayMore15 for 15% off your first purchase.
I was an editor at the meal kits that I was at.
Meal kits, okay, got it.
And so I kind of did a little
Which ones
50-50,
were- which
Marley
meal-
Spoon and Dinnerly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was also wonderful because they were different demographics.
Yeah.
And so we got to play with a lot of different recipes. I worked as a food editor, so I got to work in conjunction with the recipe developers, and then also getting a lot of the feedback from consumers. I think that's where I really learned how much I love cooking with people
Right.
and kind of getting to where they're at, because we would get a lot of feedback, whether it was real-time slacks of issues that people were having over the weekend once they got their kits, or after they cooked through it and said, oh, well, this turned brown after 2 minutes stirring it, or why did this happen? And understanding that it was also ways that we were writing the recipes.
Oh, wow.
So just understanding how people are consuming language and consuming titles, and just, seeing that relationship that people have with just the food that's in front of them.
Well, and also like you're using your communications background to kind of like reverse engineer recipes based on feedback and stuff. So I bet that was really fun for you.
Yeah, totally. I loved it. It was a very geeky moment, and I definitely took that into my next role. That was at the Spruce Eats as a food editor. We would do how-tos as well as recipes, and I kind of wanted to do more video because I got a little taste of it with Gail, but I was always behind the camera. And when I got this opportunity to be on this Netflix show, it actually was a Facebook post that was, hey, I'm looking for a judge to be on this new show about snacks. And it was in the middle of the pandemic. I needed something new to kind of make me feel a little bit alive, I guess, in my career. And was like, why not? I'll shoot my shot. And I sent them an email. They came back and they're like, well, we were kind of looking for someone more qualified as a judge. I was like, yes, that is actually, I respect you for saying that. And I totally expected that. And they said, well, while looking at your resume, it seems really great. Would you ever consider being on this show? No way, no. I have so much anxiety. I sweat while watching Top Chef and Chopped and all these other shows. There's no way that I could compete. I'm not qualified. I'm not a chef or anything. And
Classic imposter syndrome.
yeah. And at the time, I didn't even hear that word until we were filming the show. And it just kind of took them being like, oh, it's going to be on Netflix. Well, like, why don't you
Wait, you didn't even know that this was going to be on Netflix before you signed up to do it? So you didn't even know like the distribution power or like how wide it was?
At the point that I was going to do it, I did know. But
not when
initially
you
when I
applied.
applied, I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was just something to kind of flex that muscle, because I felt like I just needed a little something.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting. I feel like I just have to chime in here. I feel like you're so courageous, but you don't give yourself credit for it. It sounds like
Fair. Yeah. That's a good assessment.
because you're like, I just like applied for this thing, and then you were saying I'm not qualified, but like, you know, these people were excited to have you on. They thought you
and
would
literally
be.
for the last like 30 minutes, you've told us how fucking qualified you really are.
Exactly.
kind of amazing.
So what got you over the line to
what
say
got you
yes
over
to
the
the
line?
show?
It was about a 6-month interview process, going back and forth with producers, and I knew it was just as much as me learning more about the process. It wasn't like I was all in at the time either. So feeling comfortable learning more about that, and then also just thinking more of like, I mean, what if I did do it? And like, what could happen afterwards? Because I was kind of at this standstill in my career. I didn't really know what I wanted to do afterwards or do next. And I didn't feel like I was growing per se. So I just went for it. And I remember at the time, my boyfriend put me in the car and I was just bawling. So I was like, what did I do? Take me back. And I showed up and I saw all these chefs that had like 20 years under their belt. And it was terrifying. But what helped me a lot was just sticking to my guns and understanding what I am capable of and being confident in that, and just knowing, I mean, I'm going to get through it somehow, no matter what, I will get through this. So, I mean, it sounds very deep and intense, but it was that.
No, but like, that's incredible. Cause I think you have to have, you have to pull conviction out of somewhere. And I'm curious, like, where you think that conviction was. And like, did you use that in terms of a strategy in the show?
Every day was just, we'll see if we make it. And every day I was like, wow, okay, so we're going on to another one. Wow, I get to stay another day.
Oh, wow, we won
it
this
was just
show.
the finals.
Oh my
And
God.
I hadn't even thought about what I was going to make. And the producers, they do get a sense of what you're going to make to a degree beforehand because they have to have the kitchen prepared with equipment and ingredients
Right.
and everything. So they kept asking me, what are you thinking? I was like, I have no idea. I did not expect to get this far. So I think, a lot of it is my mom and dad are both very headstrong. They've worked, neither of them went to college, and they've worked so hard in life, in their careers, and they have made like such a beautiful life for my brother and I. And I think though we've lived a very wonderful life, it's very clear to see like how much they've worked very hard, and they stand very hard in like their conviction and everything. And I think I'm just kind of like realizing in this in real time. I believe that's why, because I don't think it was necessarily anything in my path growing up that sports always empowered me, but at the same time, I had a lot of struggles with coaches and a lot of insecurities throughout that, but it was kind of always that family and support system behind me. And that's also, again, with Snoods and the company, I don't know how I would be this far without my support system. It's just very crucial to everything that I've been through.
Yeah. But I think there's something to being Southern that is very much that culturally, like you just are kind of raised to work really hard because that's just the way that you do it and that's the way that you make it. But it's so interesting that you really didn't expect to keep going on the show. And so tell us about that journey. How was that?
It's funny because through about half of the season, it was kind of hard to understand who we were cooking for to a degree, because we had the judges, we had the hosts, we also had our producers and the show creators. And because it's the first season too, I have nothing to compare this to.
Oh,
I
wow,
don't
yeah.
really know what I should be making or what I should be cooking or what would win to a degree. And then it was halfway through the show, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make whatever I think is best. I'm not going to try to play to anyone.
Nice.
And I really stuck to my roots, and I started feeling like I was actually having fun, actually.
Nice.
I will say the scariest episode was, well, no, actually every episode was pretty intense. The Gushers episode, you don't see this, but I made the Gushers I think 2 times. One of the other contestants, Clara, made hers 3 times, so we were kind of like all in it. And then the Lay's episode, when we had to recreate these flavors, that's really kind of where I've always had a passion for flavors and different cultures and cuisines and dishes, but understanding and learning like the science and the complexity of taking tomato and garlic and cooking it down in oil and taking the fat and then making a seasoning from that, and all of the just the geekiness of it was just super fun. And that episode, I also stained my hands with turmeric.
Oh,
and
I
you
love
can
it.
see in the second half of it, I like put my hands up like this, and I'm just like, okay, it's not a good look.
Did you feel like you had, when you were in the show, did you feel like you had the skill to what you were just describing? I assume you learned that in culinary school and you worked in restaurants for a while. So did you know how to do all these things, or did you feel like you were learning so much while you
I
were
was
on the
learning
show?
in like live
Real
in
time,
time.
yeah.
A lot of the equipment I hadn't used before.
Right.
Wow.
Hari, one of the contestants, he taught me how to use one of the pieces of equipment. I will say the contestants were amazing. We were definitely always kind of talking about different ideas and spitballing with each other. So we were very supportive, and it definitely felt like then an environment where you could flourish. We were helping each other when we were failing too. So it was, it was a terrifying but very exciting, wonderful thing, and an environment that did bring this culture of creativity and wanting to push the boundaries to a degree.
Yeah.
So you get on into the finals, and tell us about that episode, what you made and how it all played out.
So I had this, at the time I was really stressed out. And when I'm stressed, I love pasta. And so through kind of all the different things that we had learned, the different techniques and thinking about what a snack could be, I was just like, well, why can't I just snack on pasta all the time? Chips, I love chips too. And it feels just like the perfect vessel to combine these flavors. And we had also just had an episode where I I made these mini instant ramen blocks that were the texture of kind of like extruded chips. And one of the judges compared it to eating instant ramen blocks off the corner. And so that kind of also put a little light bulb in my brain of, wow, there are noodles in just about every corner of the globe. And it's something that I say so often now because it has, through this experience, kind of opened my eyes even more of like the possibilities with this brand and this concept that really can connect a lot of different people, whether it's experiencing something that you grew up with and you feel akin to, or it's something new that you want to experience. And I think that snacks really make it feasible and approachable to try these new things. And I don't say that these cuisines are something that people are like scared of or anything, but I did experience in restaurants, people would go and not feel comfortable ordering a dish because they didn't necessarily know what it was,
Right.
whether they were like scared that they wouldn't like it or scared that they would mispronounce it. And so having snacks be this vessel for introducing a lot of these new flavors and cuisines into the grocery store, into these places of the country where they're not so prevalent, is a big mission of the company now.
Tell me, or actually say more about why that's so important to you.
For me, again, I've always felt this connection to people through food, and that's how I feel joy. And so, I mean, it's definitely coming from kind of this more personal note of wanting to feel connected with just a huge audience of people through these snacks that we put out there, but also wanting to connect people to each other and help people grow and learn and just experience more. I think that makes me excited, and I've seen it make other people excited. So it's just yeah.
I love the idea of snacks too, just because it's so shareable and it's like you can share a conversation or a snack bowl or like you're watching a game with some snacks, like it's such a mechanism for
It's
community.
a community thing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, food, sports, again, it's all
Yes.
about community.
Yes.
And that is, that's just a huge value of mine.
Yeah.
So
So sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, so after you won the show, then how did that develop into starting a CPG brand? Which, on surface, yes, it's all food, it's all related, but it's so different being a chef at a restaurant or food editor and then jumping into building a CPG brand. So if you can share a little bit more about that, and also if you were doing it alone, if you had a partner in that, and what that looked like.
Yeah. I definitely didn't want to waste the opportunity, especially after seeing the impact that it didn't come out. The show didn't come out until almost 2 years later.
Wow.
But it
What
had-
was the impact on you just personally, just winning?
I kind of have always felt like, I don't know the right way to say this, but a lot of times, whether it was sports or school, like I always would try very, very hard and not be able to kind of attain those goals that I set out to do. And so for me, it kind of felt like this moment where I felt like the most confident that I've ever felt. I mean, obviously, I just want a TV show.
Isn't
but
that so interesting that I'm going to make this connection, whether you've made it or not, but it's like you weren't trying. Like there's this thing, and we talked about it actually on the episode before, where you try and you try and you try and it like doesn't work, but then you like stop trying and everything just sort of like falls into place.
Yeah, I think about often when I played soccer in college, I've always had just an overthinking attitude, a lot, very, very anxious. And now I feel very confident. And even when things go wrong, I'm very quick to kind of not sulk in it or really wallow in what has happened. We're moving on to solutions. You can't really affect that. And so I think that, yeah,
It's
I kind of wish I
resilience.
had that attitude
Yeah,
that I had
sure.
before. And it was during this show was the first time that I felt like I could really step into my own.
Wow.
And even going into the final, one of the producers came to me. The other contestant said that he was going to make 2 dishes. And she came to me and was like, well, so do you want to make 2? And I was like, I've seen this play out time and time again. I know that is not the move. And I could not tell you another snack that I could make. So I'm just going to do what I know, what I
Good
came
for
here.
you.
And
Love
I
it.
definitely, I mean, I definitely cried while making it too, because I hit a lot of different roadblocks
Sure.
as well. But again, it was just
Like what?
rolling with it. The texture for one of the chips was not what I wanted by any means. And it was one of those things where I didn't know what it would kind of be until the end. I made the seasoning a couple times because things weren't working out. And yeah, I mean, it's things that are going to go wrong, especially it makes good TV. So, but and another thing that was kind of funny was when we went to go present our snacks, I was up first and I went out there and I was just, you're going through it in your head of like, how am I going to explain this and make it, seem like this world-changing snack that is just revolutionary. And I said my take of it to the judges, and I was like, yeah, that was really good. All of a sudden, one of the hosts was like, I'm so sorry. A train just came by. You're going to have to do that again.
All right. So insurance is not exactly the sexiest topic, but when you need it, you really need it.
Oh my God, girl. Yes. When I was running Loopy, I had more than enough horrible claims to deal with. But thank God for Amelia Risk.
Thank
they
God.
were amazing. They
were.
picked up my phone calls, listened to me crying, and they had really good rates too.
So if you're a founder, you already have enough to stress about. So let Amelia Risk handle all of your insurance claims while you focus on your purpose and aligning that with your business.
That's right. And for all Say More listeners, you can get a free audit. So just go to ameliarisk.com because boring things like insurance should still be really good.
No.
I was like, you have got to be kidding
No.
me.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, yeah, it's just, okay, can't change that. We're just going to keep going. So,
Right. Wow.
I mean, little things, but still, you get better at it.
Resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then tell us about how you landed on actually creating this business after the show, after winning the show.
Like I said, didn't want to waste the opportunity. I started it initially with one of the other contestants on the show. We have since parted ways. And I will say, I feel like if I hadn't started it with him, I wouldn't have started it. Because again, it was one of those things, despite, I guess, always stepping up to the challenge, I felt like it was just so out of my element.
Sure.
Who am I to start a business, let alone a snack business? And I don't even know where to start. And so it was definitely
Did the
really,
other person have a background? Did he have a CPG background?
he
or?
had a little bit, yes, a little bit, a little bit, but also a man. So
Right.
it's
Right.
just, yeah, I will say it now. I think it feels like just in CPG too. It's very male dominated, and it's sometimes hard in those conversations really letting your voice come out because you're talked over a lot.
Totally.
And so it's just, yeah, it was. I wouldn't be here, honestly. I don't believe I would have be here if I hadn't started it with him, and it's complete 180 from what we started. And there were a lot of things that I wanted the brand to be or the product to be that they didn't want. And I kind of got to points where I felt like I was settling, and then we did hit a major roadblock where we parted ways. And then I started implementing all of those things that I always envisioned the brand would be. And now those are the things that really make it sing and make it differentiated from everyone else. So I am so happy with the way that I've taken things and the ground that I've stood on, and the mistakes that I've made, because we've learned so much, and
Yeah.
we've not only learned from, like our operation mistakes, which are very obvious, but also just listening to customers.
Right.
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
you have to put a product out there that is not 100%, because
Yeah.
one of the judges, Helen Park, who is one of my mentors on the snack, she got to a point we were having so many meetings. She's like, honestly, you just have to get out there and
Yeah.
start fucking up, because that's
Yeah.
the only
Yeah,
way
yeah,
you're going
yeah.
to
Gonna
get
learn.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm curious and we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into like partnerships and thinking about finding the right partner for the business. But chronologically, so the show came out 2 years after you recorded it. When did you launch the brand? Before or after the show came out?
So I launched, we announced a Kickstarter the day that the show came out.
Got it.
And that was our
So
way.
it took 2 years you were working on it. Okay, got it.
I mean, yes, I was definitely still working full time
Right.
at the time. And yeah, essentially just Googling how do you start a company, a snack company, let alone.
Thank God for ChatGPT.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
but
made that so
wasn't
much
even
easier.
around.
Exactly.
Like, thank God for it now. It's really helped me write some emails. But like, yeah, it was. I found a great community in startup CPG
Yeah.
by Googling around, and that's been a wonderful resource. But figuring out, and still, I mean, fundraising is always hard. It's something that we're doing right now, if anyone is listening. But finding the right investors is always hard.
Yeah.
So for a workaround, we launched this Kickstarter to show that we were making sales in a way, and that we had this traction, and it was a way for us to also kind of. I worked in a commercial kitchen for that first year of making drops. And so I was constantly reformulating, figuring out how to make this. And I always knew that you can't make a Cheeto in a kitchen. So I knew that I needed to manufacture this. You need that larger, more pressurized equipment and everything. But again, you have to start somewhere. So
Right.
it really helped to just, slow roll things and understand more and more as we were getting more funds or getting more traction, getting more customers. And then, so for that first year, I did limited drops from my commercial kitchen, and eventually I actually got a grant through Startup CPG to go to Expo East. And that's since no more.
No longer.
Yeah.
No more Expo East.
But there I made it my goal to find my manufacturer, which I did. And they're only a couple hours away. So it was very much my golden unicorn, gluten-free manufacturer.
Wow.
And so with each of these steps after that, we made it very specific of what our goals would be, and for each time that we were going into a competition or going into a pitch or even applying for different booths. I mean, if we win, what are we there for? Because you don't want to just show up and kind of, just let's wait and see. You're not going to get anywhere like that. So that first year, we did limited drops. I found my co-man. And then this past year, we're now a year old, was really kind of, we were building the cars, we were driving it. We had a lot of really, and by we at this point, the past 2 years, it's been I.
No, I know.
I do have a wonderful team.
We know.
Yes, we do.
You guys know. But I do have a small Spitfire team of women who I love and a couple of men that I've let in. But this past year we had a lot of success in retail early on, and then kind of pumped the brakes to get a handle on that, and a lot of fast learnings too.
Isabel has shared some horror stories with me from starting her company, and
I had a little bit of PTSD.
Yeah,
right now.
she,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
I mean, do you want to share? Oh, I'd love to hear. Make myself feel a little better, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like all the things that you're talking about, we went through the same stuff. And in hindsight is also obvious. And I think it's really hard to scale a CPG company, especially in food, because margins are slim.
I was
especially
shocked how slim the margins
and again,
are.
it depends a little bit on the category and where you're manufacturing and what your value proposition is, like what market you're going after, but a more premium high-end product that's made at small scale. It's just like you don't make a lot, and then you do want to get into the next retailer because so much money to get in there, like
Yeah.
inventory and marketing dollars. And so everybody, like when we got into Whole Foods, everybody was like, that's amazing. And it's like, I don't know. Is it amazing? Because it's so
Yeah.
expensive. And it's hard. And then, you know, it's like, how do you build a business in that industry without funding? But then the venture route is a very aggressive growth route that feels kind of contradictory to how food works. Like the returns have to be there in 5 years, but it takes like a year to grow
my
a
gosh,
crop.
yes.
Like how do you even
Everyone wants to
reconcile
see
that?
$15 million in the bank right away.
Yeah, so it's just it's a very complicated puzzle, but I love the industry too. So it's,
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful industry, just like the food industry is and the hospitality industry
Yeah.
is. Everyone, for the most part, really wants to support everyone
Yeah.
else and see you grow and help you like solve different problems and everything. It's too, I think if you're not coming from already in CPG or honestly,
Being
you don't
rich.
have,
Trust
I
fund.
mean, honestly, if you don't have these deep pockets
Yeah.
to really like make a lot of fuck ups or just like throw at agencies, it's really hard to figure out
Yeah.
where do you start? Because you have limited funds. So
It is,
figuring
yeah.
out where do I spend not only my limited funds, but my limited bandwidth to understand, okay, this is really exciting. We are now manufacturing. And also I will say we went into manufacturing not even fully knowing what our product, our texture would be.
Right.
We fully launched and then we won this pitch competition with Fairway, which led to a really wonderful launch in the tri-state area and getting a distributor, all these things. But we realized that the texture wasn't right. And we also had it in these stand-up pouches. And that wasn't a lot of people thought it was ready to eat noodles or heat and eat noodles.
Interesting.
Or these different things. And so we took that feedback, we put it into a chip bag, we changed some of the messaging on the front, and just we just
Iterated.
really 180'd, and
Yeah.
we just decided we have to do this, and so it's what we're going to do. And
But what a lot of people don't realize, I think, is like, you know, in tech, when you make a change to a software, you can just roll it out, right? So
Totally.
with food, it's
Oh
like
my
you have all
gosh.
the inventory, you have all the stand-up pouches that you spend 10 grand buying, and now you're like, should I continue going through them or should I change it now? And we have to reprint them and it's going to
Right,
cost
right.
even more money and I'm going to have to pay my vendors today and I'm not going to get paid until 3 months from now. And just
Yeah.
way more complicated.
I mean, the amount of like tech entrepreneurs that I've heard raise money, and then also I'm like, what are your spends though?
Yeah.
Learning so much, and you're literally learning so many different careers at
Yes.
one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I had a friend that asked me, do you feel like you've just gotten so smart? And I was like, honestly, I feel so dumb in my day-to-day life because I have 1% brain cell that is going to everything else that isn't snacks. And yeah, we're getting through.
Yeah.
But we have, learned a lot, and it's brought me a lot of purpose and a lot of just feeling like I'm pulling together everything that I've done in my career and all of these passions. And I'm really able to resonate with people, and it's very clear, and that feels very validating. I have a kind of a side hustle, if you will. I work as a private chef on sailing charters.
No way.
Casual.
Oh, wait.
Just on the
Below
side.
deck. She is below deck, ladies and gentlemen.
I started working in this job right after the show. I
Wow.
felt like it was kind of that time where I felt like I am a chef and I can do these things. I also went through a terrible breakup, and that pushed me out the door. But
Oh, man.
again, it all happens for a reason. But in those ways too, it's been really fun bringing Snoods on those charters, and we sail everywhere from the Caribbean to the Mediterranean. And so
Wow.
like having my guests enjoy the chips on the charter, or even working with different chefs around the world. I have chefs that I'm friends with in like Vietnam and Rome
I'm like,
and
how
London.
is she? How is she running a CPG
I'm like,
company
hold on.
and she also has a job?
I'm like, this is a fundraising strategy. I'm like, you need to get with these people on these
Oh,
yachts,
yes,
and
exactly.
you need to
Those are your
extract the cash.
investors.
I mean,
Yes.
it's product placement is the second piece to it. But it's
Yes.
Yeah, we're always hustling, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So-
Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to jump back to you mentioned you had a partner in the business when you first started. You parted ways. It's a topic that is near and dear to our hearts, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs and founders go through partnerships that don't always work out the way that we hope and expect. And what would you say are some of the things? Well, two questions actually. One, do you miss having a business partner because you're a solo founder now and it's very different? Al is too.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, there's something nice about having someone. I know from experience where you're sharing, kind of the
You're
burden.
sharing the load. Yeah.
But then also
Yeah.
when it doesn't work, it makes it even harder. So how do you feel about that part? And then also, what are your insights on like when thinking about bringing on a partner? Like what really are the things that people should look out for, like the real things, not like, the high level ones, but like what are the things that we should be thinking about when bringing on a partner to start a business with?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was just being able to feel like I had a voice in it and feeling like I was heard. It's great having a partner, like you said, to share these burdens. And I do have a close friend that has become a big part of the company, and we're
Nice.
kind of working her into this partner role. At the end of the day, it is still a lot of these like financial burdens, or even just, making sure everything is staying afloat. It definitely keeps me up at night, but I think in other ways I have this support system that I definitely lean on
That's great.
when looking for new partners, whether that is investors or advisors. The best people that I've found have always said, well, we're going to date first and
Yes.
see how we vibe, and then if it's right, we'll both feel like it's right and we'll both want to work together. So having someone that you can have these hard conversations with, because it will always be hard, and you feel like you're heard, but also will check you on things, is very crucial. Because you're all consumed by everything. So it's an early lesson
Yeah,
for
right.
sure,
Yeah.
and it's a hard lesson, but
For so many of
it's
us.
something that you'll encounter no matter what. Even if you've found a co-founder that is so successful for you, you'll find those issues in other facets. And so it's just understanding, I think, how you work with people and making sure that those people also have the same kind of vision, even if it is like
Right.
in kind of different ways, because you want to be challenged. It's at the end of the day, this is our mission, and we're going to make sure that we stay as close to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And values too. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked a little bit about, I wish that there was like a co-founder worksheet, almost like, how they make you do marriage counseling in like some religions. I know you have to
and
do
prenups.
Yeah. And prenups.
Oh, yeah,
and,
that would be nice.
and you really
yeah.
have to go through like every single scenario that you can imagine, right? Like in terms of prenups, like I know that they'll make you think about like, well, one partner cheats and like what happens, and like for business, I wish there was something like that,
Yeah.
especially for me. And I think there is like an argument to be made, like when you're young and naive and you don't know what you don't know. But also knowing your value, like really like something that can help you understand your value and help you, leverage that in terms of negotiating long term, and also like talking about how to negotiate and negotiating forward and setting those expectations. And one big learning for me was that like once you set those expectations, hold yourself to them. And if it becomes apparent that one co-founder is not holding up their end of the expectations with so much peace and dignity, get the fuck out of there. Like that to me was like a big learning. And I want to like impart that to everybody that I come across who's like considering co-founderships.
Yeah.
I mean, if it blows up, it really like blows up,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it is very hard, and you are very entangled. It
Yes.
is very much like, I'm not married, but what I like hear
It
about
totally is.
divorcing,
Yes.
it's just,
It is.
you are so enmeshed, and it's, there's feelings involved as well as
And
finances.
there's babies.
And
There's
yeah,
babies and the company is the baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that was very, very hard, and thankfully very early. But it also, Yeah, I mean, it made me very protective of my baby
Yeah.
whenever I get into business with anyone. And I will say too that when you're looking for partners, I definitely want to find a partner that's filling these holes that I need filling. Like I don't
Yeah.
need someone that's bringing necessarily more of what I'm already
Yeah,
bringing
absolutely.
because there's so much to be done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I want someone that is bringing that value that I need and that expertise that I don't have.
Yep.
I mean, I think that should be the main criteria, right? I think too often we bring on partners because maybe we're doubting
Yeah.
ourselves
Yeah.
and we're like, I don't want to be alone. It's like, well, it's better to be alone than in bad company.
Yeah.
And
Right,
so that being the driver, I think shouldn't, because it's a business decision ultimately. It's not a marriage in that way where you really, I mean, it is a marriage, but it's not about finding the person that you love the most. It's about finding
Yeah.
the person that can
complement.
do exactly the job and pick up the things that you're not that great at. And obviously you need to get along and share certain values. But I think too many people think, oh, if
It'll
only
be
I have a
fun.
partner,
It'll be
it will
fun.
be fun and I won't be
Yeah.
alone. And
Yeah.
and I really couldn't resonate more with what you said about the prenup. That's the other part where I feel like there's just isn't enough conversation about what will happen when shit goes wrong, because
Yeah.
it will ultimately go wrong many
Yes.
times,
Yeah.
sometimes in big ways, sometimes in small ways. And then there's our personal lives that will evolve and change. Like when you start a business with someone 5 years down the road, you both are probably in very different places, especially if you
Yes.
started when you're young. And I think thinking about those things when things are great, like during the honeymoon phase,
Yes.
and really
Right.
mapping out a plan
Yes.
is the biggest like advice.
Yes.
Yeah, that I think.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, are you planning on staying in the same location? Are you planning on having children? Like, what is your view on, like bringing in help if you do have kids? Like, all of these things are so important to talk about, and they just aren't, because you're right. You're like so kind of caught in this honeymoon
Yeah.
phase of like, we can do this and we're gonna
Well, I
do
feel
this
And you're
together.
optimistic too, which is like the essence of like
Yeah.
entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
but sometimes
It feels, and it's, I think in a way it feels almost cutthroat.
Well, believe it or not, we are
Oh my God, we're
towards the
over.
end. Actually, we are over. That's
Yes, we
right,
are
Al. I didn't want to say it, but we are. But would love to finish this up with a quick fire round. If that
Yeah,
works for
absolutely.
you.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. Let's pull it up. Okay, so what are you currently watching?
I mean, who isn't watching White Lotus?
Oh my God. Yeah.
know.
Actually, no, what you were talking about the founder earlier, it had me thinking of what if there was a founder Love is Blind?
That's a great
I
idea.
mean,
Netflix, if
yeah,
you're listening.
yeah, all my producer friends, let's do it. Actually, there should be a CPG reality show because it is
100. Wait,
Yes.
do you
wild
know,
out there.
Do you
Yes.
know Allie Kane from Haven's Kitchen?
Yeah.
She has talked about this for years.
Okay, Netflix,
And I
if you're
feel like
listening.
she should totally do it if she's listening to this. But yes, 100%.
I would watch that.
That
Yeah,
would be
me too.
hilarious. Oh my God.
Okay, so White Lotus, yes. 2 more episodes of that season.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and everything else that's out there, I've watched it all.
What about podcasts or other things you're listening to?
So
Or audiobooks. How about audiobooks maybe?
yes, I love true crime.
Nice. Yeah.
I feel like I love true crime, and this sounds really horrible to say, but kind of natural disaster stories and other things. I've come to learn that I feel like I like putting myself in these situations that are other extremes to be like, oh, my
This is not as
situation
bad.
I don't know. That's what
Reverse
I'm just telling
psychology.
myself.
Yes,
Otherwise,
I love it.
I listen to a lot
I could
of true
be in
crime.
a tsunami right now. I'm just
Tsunami.
building a CPG business. I'm
A la
okay.
White
I mean,
Lotus.
yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. What would you say is your life's purpose?
Connecting people, helping them flourish, empowering people, inspiring people, whether that is just walking past someone day to day on the sidewalk or through our snacks.
Amazing. And what matters most to you in life?
My connection to people, friends, family, that's where I find the most joy in just, surrounding myself with people that continue to fill my cup.
Great.
Can I ask one bonus question that I actually wanted to ask earlier? And it's sort of like the metaphysical, but you talk a lot, or in your journey, there have been these moments of real doors kind of opening up for you and timing just working out and these opportunities popping up that you weren't really imagining, and you just walk through those doors. And I wondered if you ever connected it to anything like metaphysical or bigger than, and like what this experience is all about for you.
Yeah, to a degree, I definitely believe things happen for a reason. I mean, there's also terrible things that happen that I don't like to believe that happen for a reason, but I do feel like there's kind of like some spiritual witchy forces, if you will. And at the same time, I do take a second and say, you know what, that didn't just happen. I definitely put myself in the right place, and I've worked to be in those places. So it's kind of a mix of like, no, I worked for this, but also this is crazy that this is happening.
Well, I think it really speaks to how good you are at manifesting the things that you want, or like the opportunities that like come about, and then you have the gumption and the will to step through the door, where a lot of people would be like, like I'm scared and maybe I'm not qualified, but somehow you overcame that imposter syndrome.
It's
and
because I have the people behind me saying, do it.
Yeah, it's so important. But it's such a testament to like you and the force that is you. And we just are so looking forward to seeing how things progress with Snoods. I mean, it's delicious and addictive. I opened a bag, and before I knew it, my husband had finished it. So I was like, I'm like, yo, that was my bag.
Well,
get your own.
More.
Get your own.
Excellent.
Yes. So
thank you so much for being on the show.
This was wonderful.
Really, really awesome.
Yeah. I got a whole therapy session out of it.
Everybody does. Thank you so much for watching or listening today. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow along on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And even leave us a comment if you feel compelled. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to bring it forth into a future show. Thank you so much.